Hello and welcome to a very special edition of What Went Down, the show where we take you back to ringside for a memorable night of British boxing. And tonight, it's not such a long journey, and it wasn't that long ago, but what a night it was for the highest paid boxer in the world, one of the best fighters in the world, the Maverick. Yes, it's that man, the Gypsy King. It's Tyson Fury.
This is the biggest heavyweight fight out there.
When that bell rings, it's going to be a war.
I'm gonna make you go timber.
This time, he really is going to fight the Gypsy King, and I'm going to take him out.
Terrific shot from Fury. Wilder looking distinctly nonplussed. Oh, he's put it down! There's a good right hand again from Fury. And he's gone!
It looks like Wilder is completely out of ideas already.
There's a good right hand from Fury.
What a performance of that.
Desperation.
Shot, there he goes again.
He's down again, is he? They've thrown the towel in. The fight's all over.
I've witnessed a British boxing great right there.
Tyson Fury is the heavyweight champion of the world.
What a night it was. February at the MGM in Las Vegas, the heavyweight champion once again, and he joins me now. Tyson, thanks very much for joining me. Just watching those images and listening to those words, it's fantastic to relive it.
Yes, Steve. Absolutely amazing night. And we're going to relive it right now on What Went Down. BT Sport, you heard it here first.
When you watch that back, Tyson, and I'm sure you've watched it many times, does it look even easier now than it was on the night?
It feels like it was such a long time ago. I've watched it many, many times. And it was an amazing moment. It was an amazing moment in my life and my career. And every time I watch it, it gets better every time.
Now, I know you predicted it, absolutely predicted it. But at what point in the opening round, in the first round, did you think, you know what, this is going to happen. I'm going to get him out of here. He can't do a single thing. At what point was that?
That point was after the 12th round in the first Wilder fight. I knew what I had to do to him to win. And I executed it perfectly.
So basically, since December of 2018, you'd just been living with the knowledge that once you got him back in that ring, you could take him apart.
100%. I knew he'd never faced anybody like me before. And someone as big and strong, as powerful as me. Or someone on full mass like I was last time out. The first time he fought me, it was no secret. I had to lose all the weight in 6 months. And I wasn't half the man I was when I fought him last time. And you'll see a better fighter again when we fight again. So I hope to get the job done even quicker next time.
Sometimes people look back on that fight and think you just wandered through every round. He still caught you with half a dozen good shots. The type of shots that have left most of his opponents on the floor, including you twice in the opening, in the first fight.
Yeah, he caught me with a couple of good right hands in the first round. I walked straight through him and hit him back hard. And I knew that's what I had to do. As soon as he felt the power and he felt the real Gypsy King in front of him, I knew he'd fold eventually. And I'd just wear him out like I did. I wanted to get payback. I just didn't want to win. I wanted to put him down a right few times as well to pay him back for what he did to me. And I was thankful that I had the ability to do that and make him kiss the canvas 3 or 4 times himself.
Now, as you say, you wanted payback and you made some changes to help you get that payback. You changed your trading team. You brought in a whole new team. And one of the men you brought in was Andy Lee. And Andy joins us now. Andy, I've got to ask you this first of all. Once we were there in Las Vegas, once the first bell sounded, everything went so well. But now we've had a bit of time has passed. Was the camp really as smooth as everyone says? Did it go as well as it looked on the night?
No camp ever goes 100% perfect, but Tyson trained immensely, unbelievably hard for the fight. He was so focused and so serious about his work, and he was dedicated to the game plan that we set forth and committed to it. And he never doubted it for a moment. And we worked just on those things that you saw him do in the fight. And it's one thing to have a game plan. It's one thing to kind of instruct a fighter to do it. But for him to go out and do it under those circumstances, in the biggest fight in heavyweight, in how long? In maybe 20, 30 years in heavyweight boxing. And for him to execute it like that, it was remarkable. And that's what makes him the great fighter he is.
Now, it was a game plan that carried risks. It was a game plan that meant he had to take risks. And at what point, when you were putting it together, surely you lost some night's sleep, Andy, wondering if perhaps you were just being a bit too bold with the plan?
No, I was committed to the plan, and I believed it. And really, it was Sugar Hill who put it together. With Tyson. Tyson's boxing knowledge is unparalleled with me, and maybe unparalleled with Sugar Hill. So it was definitely a collaborative effort between the three of us. And yeah, there were people who were saying we were crazy and that Tyson was crazy, but Tyson told them all, similar to what Muhammad Ali did when he told everybody what he was going to do, and he went out and did it. And look, for me, I had no doubts, but the night before the fight, yeah, I had a little bit of doubts, but me and Sugar Hill discussed it. We reaffirmed what we were going to do, and Tyson never doubted it. And that was the main thing. If you get the fighter to believe, that's the main thing as a coach. And he believed it, and he went and did it.
Now, Tyson, you talked there about how you were convinced after the first fight had finished that you would get Deontay Wilder out of there. But also, I think you told me once, you mentioned to me that had you had another minute, 30 seconds in the first fight, in that 12th round, you would have got him out of there.
Yeah, for sure. Deontay Wilder doesn't like pressure from a ginormous guy. I took his best punches in the first fight, got up off the canvas and got back into him, hit him with hard shots. He didn't like that. He'd never had that before. If you've got 42 knockouts out of 42 knockouts, then you have the guy down with your best punches and he gets back up and hits you back, it puts a dent in your confidence and a dent in your mindset. And he knew he couldn't beat me going into the second fight because he had his opportunity to do so. Having me being out the ring for 3 years and not having so great comeback fights, and just to get in there and do what I did with him. And having the time out and time back in the ring at the second time round, I knew he didn't have a chance. People can say what they want, but I knew that Deontay Wilder didn't have a chance at all. He only had a puncher's chance, just like every opponent I've ever faced in the heavyweight division. They've all got the same puncher's chance. That's it.
Let's bring in Frank Warren, one of the men responsible for putting the fight together. Frank, you've heard there how confident Andy was. You've heard there how confident Tyson was. What about you? In the hours and the days before the fight, where were your confidence levels?
My confidence level was there from the first fight. I felt that he would win the first fight. I know it was a risk going in that Tyson had to lose a lot of weight. And he did win the first fight. He got robbed. So the second fight for me, I honestly did believe that, and I actually said before the fight that he will stop him. And the way to stop him is to take the fight to him. And everybody underestimates this punching power for some reason. Look at how many people he stopped on his record. And I knew that there's no way that Deontay Wilder was going to out-jab him. He was going to out-maneuver him. He was going to out-box him. His big hope was his punch. And I felt that Tyson, by pushing him on his back foot, would negate that. And that's exactly what he'd done. He did get caught a couple of times, but he brushed him off, walked through him, and I think he just broke his heart, broke him down, and we all see what happened. The real world champion was back in holding the belt.
And Frank, during that week in Las Vegas, everything that unfolded, the pushing and shoving at the press conference, the separate weigh-ins, that was all part and parcel of it. None of that made you concerned in any way, shape or form?
No, I thought Tyson's always had the mental edge over Deontay Wilder from the first fight. Every press conference we had, every time the two guys got together, every time through it, Tyson was the dominant personality there. And I don't think that Deontay could cope with him. 1 minute he thought that Tyson was his big friend. Next minute Tyson was just absolutely brushing him aside. And that set the form all the way through for both the fights. And the fact at the end the commission decided to keep them apart, he still didn't even win that. Tyson was still on top of him mentally. you know, after the weigh-in, when the two of them were there, the other side, basically the other side of the stage, Tyson was still dominating. You could see in the body language that Tyson was the dominant personality, you know, all the way through. And you know, when it came to the ring, he was dominant physically towards him.
Tyson, Frank mentioned there the fact that Deontay Wilder didn't know if he was coming or going. 1 minute you were his best friend and the next minute you were getting in his face. You seem to be loving every single second of that.
Yeah, I'm a showman, I'm an entertainer. It's what I do best, and Las Vegas, big fights. I was born to do it, and I'm on the world's biggest stage here, and I perform every time.
Tyson, that was the weigh-in when you were kept apart, and I think I don't know about you, but I think it worked a treat because it gave the two of you that bit of space to go at each other, and it was a great spectacle. It made it more entertaining. But when you're up close with Wilder there, were you sensing that he was falling apart? Were you sensing that you were breaking him at the weigh-in?
Not really, no, because sticks and stones, you know, break your bones, but names will never hurt you. It's all. I don't think Wilder's too bothered about the pre-fight stuff that goes on, all the talking back and forward. Deontay's a good talker, just like I am. Maybe not as good as me at talking, but he's definitely a good talker. He can hold his own with anybody. So I don't think he gets into his mind that much, you know. And at the end of the day, what can a few words do if you're going to get in and have a big fight up anyway?
So, Frank, we're waiting for some direction. We're waiting for things to open up. But assuming things start to ease down in September and October, would you see Wilder against Fury 3 by the end of this year? Or does it have to happen by the end of this year?
It does have to happen, and I'm quite sure, you know, both the guys want it. You know, it's a long time out the ring, and Tyson's been, you know, when Tyson came back, we managed to keep him very busy because in the past he wasn't such a busy fighter, and I think he's enjoyed being busy, enjoyed being in the gym. At least I hope that's been the case. You know, he's an exciting heavyweight. That was an exciting fight that he had out there. For me, probably one of the best performances of a British fighter abroad. You know, he took on the biggest punching heavyweight statistically, and the biggest punching heavyweight probably in the last 25, 30 years, and done a job on him. You know, that was a tremendous performance, and we all can't wait to see him back in the ring again.
Yeah, it was a flawless performance, Tyson. Let me ask you this, Tyson. Let's say we had to go to next year, January or Feb. Would you, in theory, be ready to fight Joshua 6 weeks after fighting Wilder or 8 weeks after fighting Wilder? So in a tighter, closer span. Would that suit you if it could be done that way?
No, it wouldn't work. I can't go through a 3-month training camp and then have a big fight and then go and fight again 6 weeks later. That stuff was left in the 30s and 40s. It can't happen anymore. You know, I'll fight Deontay Wilder next, maybe the end of the year, November, December. I'm quite certain of it. And then I'll deal with the other mug after that. Same fashion.
And you can't change the way you train. The training camps are too hard. You can't fight 6 weeks after a fight.
No, you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. There's no rush. I'm still young. I'm still pretty. Well, yeah, the big fights will happen. You know, you just got to wait. Good things come to those who wait. And, you know, I'm sitting pretty right here on top of the pile. No one's going anywhere without going through me. I hold all the chips and all the cards and everything else they want to say. All doors, all fights lead to the Gypsy King. At the top of the pile, the lineal champion of the world. You know, all the belts, keep them all. I'm the lineal heavyweight champion of the world. And that there will take a bit of grasping off the Gypsy King, I tell you that now.
The Gypsy King reigns supreme. Well, listen, Frank, we'll let you go. We'll let you get back to negotiating, no doubt. Andy Lee's going to stay with us, and don't you go anywhere. Next stop, Las Vegas, the heavyweight rematch. Both unbeaten, both on a mission. It's Fury and Wilder 2. Welcome back to What Went Down. It's Las Vegas. It's February. It's the MGM. It's the heavyweight championship of the world. Some unfinished business. Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder. And what a night it was. What a spectacular night it was. I'm still with Tyson Fury and Andy Lee here. And let's get to that night. Let's get to the moment when they started making their way from the dressing room to the ring.
Tyson Fury.
Tyson, it was a fantastic reception. The place is sold out. It's a heavyweight record at the gate. And you've got a fantastic entrance. Who thought of that? When did you decide on this?
Obviously, I thought of it, Steve. These crazy ring walks and things, you know, they take a bit of thinking up, but I thought to myself, who other than a crazy person could come out to Patsy Cline? Crazy. Well, I've been through all the mental health struggles and will continue to do it, so I thought the song was quite fitting. Crazy for a crazy man. Obviously, I'm dressed as a king because I'm the Gypsy King and on the throne.
When you're standing there, Tyson, how aware are you? How aware are you of the fans around you? Or are you in a zone just spelting out Patsy Cline and waiting? Or can you see them? Can you hear what they're shouting at you?
Yeah, I can see them and hear them, and I'm taking it all in, enjoying the atmosphere, absolutely loving it because I know it's my time to shine. This is my show business moment. You know, I've done all the hard work. All those people came to see the Gypsy King, so I was always going to deliver a fantastic performance for them.
Now, Andy, you obviously knew what the ring entrance was going to be, but earlier on in the changing room, when you're backstage there, was he as calm as you wanted him to be, or were you looking for signs that he was getting edgy? What were you seeing, Andy?
First of all, Steve, I wasn't a fan of this planned ring walk. When Tyson mentioned it to us about 3 or 4 weeks before the fight in the kitchen, I said, that's never going to work. It's crazy. So I actually went out ahead of Tyson and got in the ring and said, okay, let's see how this works. But I have to say, it was probably the greatest ring entrance I've ever seen. And you can see Tyson, as he said, he's just in the moment and he's present and he's just ready to do it. And listen, the day of the fight, Tyson was so calm, and it was just like, you wouldn't think he was about to fight for the heavyweight championship of the world. He was just relaxed as you could be. We had a few people over to the house. We watched a couple of movies. He ate his dinner. And then he was like, let's go do this. And he was as cool as a fan. Came to the arena in a Rolls Royce. And like, he's got the perfect mindset for a fighter. Like, he takes these big moments like these, the big moments, he takes them very light. And he's in the moment. He's present. But all the small things, like his hydration, like his food, like his sleep, like his training, he takes them very serious, and that's the absolute perfect attitude for a fighter.
And here we see Wilder coming in, Andy and Tyson. As good as Tyson was, this guy's wearing a suit that maybe weighed 50 pounds that he hadn't tried on, and it was one of his reasons, one of his excuses later on. What did you think, Tyson, when you first got a glimpse of that ridiculous outfit?
I thought to myself, he looks absolutely lovely, and he's going to look a right joke when I knock him out in a minute, and he has to walk all the way back out the ring carrying it in his hands.
And Andy, what about you? Because looking back on it, looking at real geniuses after the event, but looking at it, it just looks cumbersome. It looks heavy. It looks fatally ridiculous.
Well, it was complete contrast to Tyson, who came in so serene, so light, so hard, you know, so open to the crowd, embracing the crowd. He looked tense. He looked nervous. And one of Tyson's right-hand man, I'll never forget, was there, Tim Alcock, and he was saying, he's a mullah, he's a demon, about Wilder. And, you know, I think that all played into, it all just played into Tyson's hands.
Before we move on to the fight, let's just have a look at some of the stats. There you are. He's a little bit older than you, Tyson. You're both unbeaten, an awful lot of stoppages. Obviously, he's got that ridiculous stoppage Ray. 6'7" he is, 6'9" you are. But what the tale of the tape doesn't tell you, you can't measure his attitude, tactics, belief and desire. And it looked to me from ringside that you were perhaps the only man with the correct attitude, the right tactics, the belief and the desire on that night. Is that how you were reading it when you were standing in the ring?
100%, Steve. I was there, I was in the moment, I was ready for a war. I was ready for a 12-round war or a 1-round knockout or whatever it was going to be. I was ready. It was my moment in time, my moment in history. Deontay Wilder and 10 more men like him would never be able to take it from me, because that was my night. You know, I knew I'd trained really hard. There was always going to be a few niggles in training camp. There always is. But at the end of the day, we had a good camp, good sparring. Everything went really well. So it was the boxing side of it, the actual fight night's the easy part.
At this point, Tyson, are you just desperate for that first bell? You've had enough now. It's been 14 months. You're ready. You just want to hear that first bell so you can start throwing punches.
Not really, Steve. I'm enjoying it, listening to Jimmy Lennon introduce us and, you know, listening to all the people outside the ring. Come on, Tyson. Come on, Deontay. You got to live in the moment. I enjoy all this. Even the final 10 seconds before the bell goes. I absolutely love it, because there's no sensation in the world that can match it, knowing you're going into battle with another high-performance trained athlete.
Now, Andy, you've been there as a boxer and you've now been there as a trainer, but you're still close to him. You can see you there, you know, just slavering his neck. Are you just a little bit surprised at just how calm and relaxed he looks, Andy?
Steve, I've never seen somebody so relaxed and, like he said, enjoying the moment. And it was stark contrast to Wilder, because I had gone into Wilder's dressing room and inspected the hand wraps. And even getting these hand wraps, you could see how tense he was and how the tension in the room, but even him, but all of the people inside the room, they were really on edge. And in Tyson's dressing room, I'm sure you've seen the photos, he's laughing, he's dancing and he's having a joke. And he's just, like I said, just ready to do it.
So this is it, Tyson. You take us up from the start of the round. You take up, and Andy and I will join you as we relive that enormous, that memorable, that unforgettable night at the MGM in February. What a night of glory it was. Take us through the opening 30 seconds or so, Tyson.
Yeah, not a problem. I'm here standing in the corner, patiently ready to go to battle. And the only thing on my mind right now is putting Deontay Wilder on the back foot and taking centre ring. I sprinted out to the middle of the ring to take that centre, and the thing on my mind was putting him on the back foot, hitting him with stiff, solid jabs and getting that feint working from the first bell. And it worked really well. Wilder was quite tentative with me in his face, and I think all the build-up, I was telling him I was going to put him on the back foot, I was telling him I was going to land big shots, but he probably didn't really believe it until this moment.
And Andy, when Wilder's backing up, Tyson's basically doing what he wants.
Yes, and as Tyson mentioned, Wilder realised that everything Tyson was saying was now coming true. And look, even though he's trying to get aggressive now and land punches, there's a slight element of desperation because he knows he's under serious pressure.
And Tyson, at this point, you're just pushing him back. It's just straightforward. You're getting over your left foot, you're throwing big jabs, and you're landing big rights. You're making it look simple.
It's very simple, Steve, what it looks like, but actually it's very difficult because I'm using my front left leg as a measuring stick. It's very educated pressure. If you just walk forward with your hands up to Deontay Wilder, it'll knock you out. So people like come forward fighters will think, oh, just walk to Deontay Wilder and hit him. It doesn't work like that. Wilder doesn't know what's coming, whether it's going to be a feint jab, whether it's going to be a 1-2, whether it's going to be a right hand, a looping one. So he's quite confused on what's happening because I'm using them long legs as levers to really launch forward when I'm going to punch.
And Andy, it seems that Tyson, as he said there, he's using the jab, he's using a fake jab, he's getting his legs in position. He's doing whatever he wants, to be perfectly honest with you.
But it's not as easy as it looks, Steve. And if you look at Tyson's front foot, he's never on his heel. He's always on his toe, and it's very hard to time that. Most fighters will instinctively pick up a heel step, but it's a toe step with Tyson, and it's a little hop and skip into distance, which puts pressure on Wilder. Wilder needs a lot of time to think and to measure himself, and Tyson's just not giving him that time. And now look, you can already see he's starting to come apart. You can already see he's starting to come apart at the seams a little bit.
So Tyson, you're 1 round down. You've made something really difficult look really easy. You must have been a very happy man when you got back to the corner.
Yeah, I was very happy. I went back to the corner, a happy chappy after round 1, landed a good few right hands and then put him on the back foot. I felt like we had him right where we wanted him. That was the jab Andy was on about. That rocked him, that solid straight jab. So we went back to the corner and I was listening for the information what the boys were telling me.
And Andy, you're talking to him there, Sugar Hill's talking, even Duran's throwing a word in. But Andy, are you expecting Deontay Wilder to try something drastically different at the start of the second round?
I think there's nothing he can do. When you fight a certain way, you can't, unless you're like Tyson, who's fought many different ways, you can make adjustments. I don't think Wilder has the ability to make adjustments like Tyson. The only thing we were saying, and it was mostly Sugar Hill in the corner, I would give a couple of words towards the end of the round to give a bit of encouragement or something I thought it was important. But the only advice Sugar Hill gave in the first round, or criticism that Sugar Hill gave, was just to make your step back a little bit quicker. Just that little hop back and then straight back into distance. So that little hop back there, just make that a little bit quicker. And Tyson did it. That was the only thing we said to him the whole fight. Other than that, as the fight progressed, it was start to sharpen up now, stay focused, don't get drunk on your own success, and finish the job.
Tyson, that expression Andy used there, don't get drunk on your own success, and other trainers use the word greedy. Was there a temptation, even this early in the fight, to let your hands go a little bit more?
I've had the drunk success before, haven't I, in the first fight. He couldn't land a blow on me for the first 9 rounds, yes. And then I got a little bit too confident and woke up on the floor. So I realised that Wilder's not a man you can just unload on straight away. He wasn't ready for the taking right now.
Now, he might not have been ready for the taking, Tyson, but you are managing to catch him with whatever you're trying. In fact, you look like you're trying different shots, a body shot, then letting the right hand go. It's like you're experimenting, and it's only round 2.
Yeah, we practiced on sticking to the body quite a bit and moving up and down, head to body. Everything you see in this fight was practiced in the gym and practiced during training camp. And we executed a lot of stuff, even the hooks to the body inside. You can see me working the right hand, jackhammer to the midsection. It was all worked on, and everything we practiced in the gym worked in the real fight. So, practice, repetition.
And Andy, at this point, Tyson's managed to take a couple of right hands, and he's still dominant. He still looks so relaxed. And if anything, Wilder is starting to run out of the few ideas he had.
I think Wilder, after the first round, he came, like you said, he came out in the second round. Look at that right hand there from Tyson. But he came out in the second round he tried to, like you said, pick it up a little bit and be a little bit more aggressive. But Tyson sensed that and put him straight back in his box. Look at all these feints by Tyson. These little feints. they look easy, but they're really hard to do. And what they're doing to Wilder, they're giving him no time to think. And look at that. As soon as he finishes punching, Tyson's right back on top of him. And now Tyson has him exactly where he wants. That was Wilder's best round or his last big effort, I thought. And now Tyson has him exactly where he wants. You see Sugar Hill patting Tyson on the back. We knew, well, there was always a chance because Wilder's such a big puncher. We could never be too comfortable. But we knew after that round, Tyson was on his way to winning the fight.
And Tyson, that little series of punches right on the bell there, could you sense that you hurt him, especially with that fantastic right hand?
Yeah, there was a right hand where I turned the knuckles right down on him. And I knew I hurt him, and then he sort of threw a couple of punches back. I turned him, I landed a right hook and a left hook on the bell. And I knew he was rocked going back to the corner. And I actually said I'd knock him out in the second round or drop him. But it ended up being the third round, so yeah, I was 1 round out.
Now, as he comes out to the middle of the ring there, Tyson, he doesn't look too keen. He's not glaring over you, he's not looking over at you. He's had very little instruction from his corner. Are you sensing that the fight, even though I take it, I understand he can still finish you with one punch, but are you sensing the fight is draining out of Deontay Wilder?
Yeah, you know, I could sense that I'm getting on top. You know when you're winning a fight, you know that you're landing shots and you're not getting landing back on. And shots like that, I was setting up the jab, put the right behind it, and it was all going on target. I knew it was just a matter of time before I landed something big on him and he'd feel the effect.
And Andy, you're in the corner there. You're close to, you're about 3 feet in front of me. Tyson's catching him with double jabs and right hands. Surely it's only a matter of time before Wilder's in trouble. You can't keep taking shots like that.
No, and look, all of these things we practice that you're seeing now, and it was really Sugar Hill. Sugar Hill put this plan together beautifully. And like Tyson said, we had a little, oh, look at that right hand. The jackhammer, or what he called it, where he had Wilder in close like this and would hit him there to the body. Beautiful little shots like that do add up and take their toll over the course of a fight. But every time Wilder trying to do something, it's Tyson who's having the final say in it and the answering blow. And like this was the changing point in the fight in this round. Round 3 was a huge round, and yeah, it's beautiful. You see Tyson's jab. He's taking his head out with his jab. When he's jabbing, he's taking his head to his right, so he's avoiding Wilder's jab, and Wilder just can't get it, just can't come to terms with that.
I mean, some of those jabs there, Tyson, they're not feeling jabs, they're not touching jabs. Those are jabs to knock somebody out. Those are being thrown with every single pound of your weight behind them.
Yeah, you know, we worked on the jab, landing good, stiff, solid jabs. And me jab's like another man's right hand. It really is powerful. Because obviously my jab that I jab with from the orthodox is my left cross from a southpaw. So it's a powerful jab. And we even worked on the check hook there that you saw land there and drop Wilder. A lot of people think it was a right hand to the side of the head that done him, but it's actually the first left hook to the temple that buried him. It's the check hook.
So you've got him gone now. You can sense it, Tyson. You're trying to finish it. When he goes down there, I think he's hurt, even though it's ruled a slip or a bundle over.
Yeah, most definitely. I hit him with some shots on the way down, and he grabbed hold of my legs and whatever, and the referee called it a slip, but I believe it was another knockdown really. But it didn't really make much difference because the tank of Deontay Wilder was starting to drain. And he was really feeling the wrath of the Fury in there, and the size of the man. You know, he may have put a stone on or whatever, but he's a naturally skinny man. And when you're in there with a living dinosaur like me, who's a natural 20-stone man, and a boxer there, 19 stone 7, solid, fit as a fiddle, it becomes a problem.
Now, Andy, I could see both you and Sugar Hill in the corner trying to stay calm, but you're getting fairly animated. What was going on in the corner there between rounds 3 and 4?
No, it was just repeat. What you're doing is working perfectly, and it's only going to be a matter of time now. Because as we said, Wilder's starting to come apart at the seams a little bit and looking a bit spent already, looking a bit desperate, and Tyson's as fresh as a daisy. You know, I was in the dressing room watching the hands wrapped, and when you see Wilder in person compared to Tyson, there's no comparison in terms of the physical stature. And this game plan that Tyson worked on and the way he's executing it is perfect because he's he's making use of all of his advantages, jabbing, using his weight, even on the inside, like these little punches to the ribs and to the sides. Like for a man like Wilder, they really do delay your legs, and he probably might have thought the suit affected his legs, but it wasn't. It was Tyson's body shots.
Now Tyson, this kid Wilder, you think about it, nearly 12 years, 42 fights he'd won. 42 fights he'd won. He barely had a problem. You're absolutely ruining him. You're destroying him. You're breaking him at this point.
For sure, it was a very, very great performance. You know, I don't believe there's been another performance like this for two undefeated world champions fighting each other. It was an absolute annihilation of one of the champions, and it just shows you the level I'm on, because Deontay Wilder knocked everybody out in his path, cut them down like cheese, and then I just took him apart completely. Next level gang!
Now it was next level game. I asked you a couple of rounds ago if there was a temptation for you to let your hands go a little bit more. He's been over in the third, he's been hurt in the fourth. Are you thinking now, I could let my hands go here and get him out there? Are you still thinking, game plan, use your brain?
No, I know the longer it goes, the more it's working in my favour. Deontay Wilder's chances are draining now, less and less of landing a bingo punch. Like you say, I was well on top here, and I could feel him physically draining, emotionally and mentally draining. And every punch I was hitting him with, big shot was going right to his boots. It was working very, very well. The game plan was excellent. And Deontay Wilder was starting to feel sorry for himself here in round 4.
And at this point here, Andy, I know Wilder can finish a man with just one punch, but he's never finished a man when he's taken a 4-round beating. Were you and Sugar Hill just starting to relax a bit more in the corner?
I don't think you can ever be too relaxed with somebody like Wilder. And look, you see this sequence in this round. Although Tyson might not be landing very clean punches, all of this mauling and holding and body shots and even Wilder missing punches, it's taken a huge effect. It's taken a huge toll on Wilder, and it's just perfectly playing into Tyson's hands. And at this point, we were just saying to him, "Look, compose yourself. He's ready to go. Any moment, pick your shots, and you'll have him out of there." And that's what he did.
And Tyson, if you're 4 rounds in, you've had him on the floor, you've bundled him over a couple of times, you've hit him with any punch you want, you're making one of the most dangerous fighters in the division look silly. You're boxing beautifully, but somehow you've still got to remain composed and not get too overconfident. Surely that's easier said than done.
Yeah, it is, and at this level, I've witnessed what it's like to be so far in front and then get clipped and almost knocked out. So you learn from experience not to take anything for granted in life. And you know, even though I was way ahead here, I was still only one punch away from disaster. So I was always going to take my time and not rush anything, because, like I say before, I've been on the receiving end of what it's like to wake up on the floor way ahead in a fight.
Well, we've had 4 rounds. We've got the end coming up. Don't go anywhere. See you in a minute. It's what went down. It's round 5, February at the MGM. Tyson Fury, Deontay Wilder. Tyson, a bit of confusion there, the double bell. You're picking it up, it's round 3. You're 4 rounds clearly in front. And straight away you unleash that massive shot.
Yeah, I started quick in this round, and I caught him early on with a big right hand and followed it up again. It was only a matter of time now for Wilder. This is one of my favourite rounds and one of my favourite punches that I've seen. I knocked the heavyweight champion of the world down with a body shot and took him clean off his feet. I've never seen it done before, ever.
Yeah, I must admit, when we're coming to that in about another 30 or 40 seconds, you do actually take him off his feet with the shot. But you have been using the body shots all the way through the fight so far, Tyson.
Yeah, a lot of people, especially in the heavyweight division, they take the body for granted and they're all headhunters. But, you know, I knew that going to the body is money in the bank, and Wilder's legs would weaken. And there you go. Left hook to the body, down he went. He must have been feeling it. He was thinking, what have I got to do? I'm getting dropped with headshots and body shots. I'm surprised the corner and him was able to continue for the duration of the round, really.
And Andy, at this point, I'm sure you're noticing it as well. I certainly was from ringside. Kenny Bayliss, the referee, he's looking really long and hard at Deontay Wilder. Really long and hard at him.
Yeah, and it might not translate through the screen, but when you're there in the flesh and you're seeing these shots land, you're hearing these shots land, and you see the look on Wilder's face, you see it in his eyes. It really was a one-sided fight, and listen, it can't be understated how good this performance was by Tyson. This is sensational. To do this to Deontay Wilder, a man who was undefeated, who knocked out all of his opponents so far, had reigned champion for so long, and then for Tyson to come back after 3 years off and come back and do this to him, regain his championship and cement himself as the greatest heavyweight of our generation. This is a sensational performance, and listen, I just can't speak big enough about it, because it's unbelievable what's happened and what we're seeing here.
So Tyson loses a point there, Andy, but you're absolutely right. That point you make is perhaps it doesn't come across on the TV, but when you were there, with the blood coming out of Wilder's ear, with the blood coming from his mouth, he's taken a lot of punches and he's hurt, isn't he, Andy?
He's hurt. Look, even this now, he's a brave man. He's got a good heart, because, listen, a lot of other people would have found a way out of this. They would have made an excuse or took a knee. But look, he's a fighter and he's a great champion, and it took an even better champion to beat him, Tyson Fury.
Now, Tyson, you're taking him apart, and he's obviously broken, he's bloody, he's been on the floor several times. Are you actually thinking perhaps at this point, what do I have to do to get rid of this man?
No, not at all. I'm thinking I'm going to destroy this guy and do some serious damage to him. It's only a matter of time. I was working on something in the gym where I was putting my left arm out, step back, coming back in with a straight 1-2. And just about when I started getting it going properly was the time that they pulled him out. And I believe his trainer didn't just do him a favour in stopping the fight. I believe that the trainer saved him from a severe damaging through his life, never mind a boxing career. I believed his corner saved him from maybe a brain damage or something, because the amount of punches he was taking, if they let him continue, I think it was only another couple of rounds before it would happen to him, something like what happened to Adonis Stevenson or one of them guys. And nobody wants to see that. If you just look at the guy, he's taking an awesome beating, and he's not even really landing anything back on me at all. And he's a tough guy, he's got good grit, and he's a champion and doesn't want to lose. But the fighters are there to do a job, and it's up to the corner to say when he's had enough. Because look, we'll fight on until we can't fight anymore. But sometimes we're too brave for our own good as fighters. And I think Deontay Wilder showed this in this fight. He'd been down 3 or 4 times. He'd been absolutely butchered for the 7 rounds. But he was complaining when he got stopped.
Andy, were you a bit concerned at this point about just how much punishment Deontay Wilder was taking? You know, you're a professional. You've been in gyms. You've seen fighters get hurt. You've seen fighters get damaged. Were you a little bit concerned, Andy?
Look, from the 4th round onwards, every time the bell sounded, all I was doing was watching Wilder's corner because I thought they could have pulled him out. And I think Mark Breland did a great job. I know he took some criticism from certain people, but those guys haven't a clue. Mark Breland is a great boxing man, and he did a great job by pulling and stopping the fight when he did. It could have been earlier, but I think he did pick the right moment.
Because, in all fairness here, Tyson, as much as you're hitting him, Deontay Wilder looks like he's probably going to stay there. He's going to keep standing until the final bell. He's just taking your punches.
Yeah, no, it was a matter of time before he got knocked unconscious, Steve. Never mind taking the punches. It was about 30 seconds in that round 7 from being knocked unconscious and maybe some severe damage to his brain. Because I wasn't easing up. I was putting more pressure and more power into every shot.
No, you certainly not easing up. Now, at this point, Tyson, I know I've asked you this again and again and again, but at this point, is there something in the back of your mind telling you to still be mindful, to still be careful? Do you really believe at this point in round 6 he could have actually caught you with a shot and hurt you?
You never know what anyone's capable of, Steve. And even in this wounded animal thing, we've seen Nigel Benn was most dangerous when he was very wounded. We've seen it happen time and time again. And in World Heavyweight Championship fights, you never want to just walk onto one. It only takes one swing and it's all over. So you must be mindful and cautious all the way through these events.
And Andy, once this bell sounds, Andy, could you, I know it's not your corner and it's not your job, but could you sense that there was a bit of disarray and a bit of confusion over in that upper corner? Did you glance across at any point and have a look at Jay Diaz and Mark Breland with their beaten bloody man?
Yeah, I was watching them very closely, and it was Mark Breland was the headman in the corner, and all of a sudden it's Jay Diaz. So I knew they had some concerns. He was bleeding, he was taking a beating, and I'm sure they were having those thoughts of when is the right time to stop their man. And I think they're having this conversation here as we speak. Well, the fight never wants to continue, and I think that's something that needs to change in boxing. In a sense, it's a conversation for another day. But fighters can be too brave, and if a fighter quits, he's ridiculed. He's called a coward. But a fighter's never a coward because he goes into the ring. But a fighter can be too brave for his own good.
And certainly as you walked out here, Tyson, for what would be the 7th round, Wilder's a little bit reluctant to come out. His legs are unsteady. What's going through your mind there, Tyson?
I'm thinking now I'm going to turn the heat up on him. And that's it, really. It's 7 rounds to 0. And it's about time that Wilder's out of the ring.
But at this point, could you sense just how vulnerable he was and just how much danger he was in?
Yeah, when you're in there, you can feel what's going on. You got a feel for the fight, the swing of the fight, the way it's going, and it's just a matter of time. You're just waiting for one opportunity to land one big shot, and it's going to be good night. And we was working on this. What I actually did here at the end, we was working on it all the way through training camp, and it was working a right treat. And this was the first time I'd actually done it throughout the fight. And they saw it and they was like, okay, time to get him out now. And that was it. But I do believe if they didn't get him out of there, something really bad would have happened to him. Because a fighter can only take a certain amount of punishment and big shots to the head. You know, and if he wouldn't have been knocked unconscious and not getting up, then he would have had some severe lasting damage, which we don't want to see. And there you go, you see the right hand I was talking about, and it's over.
And at that point, Tyson, they throw the towel in. You're the champion again. What's the first thoughts in your mind at that moment when you see the fight's over?
It wasn't that I'm a champion again, because I've never stopped being a champion. I've always been the lineal champion since I beat Klitschko in 2015. But you know, I beat the #1 guy in the division. So yeah, it was a great moment for me, and a fulfilling moment as well. You know, a moment that concreted the greatest comeback in boxing history. And it was one of those great moments and great sporting moments for the country and for the family and for everybody. It was an absolutely epic moment.
No, it certainly was an epic moment. And there's that right hand you're talking about, straight through the guard.
Pull out and back in, bam, bam.
It was, Andy, one of the finest nights I've had the pleasure of being ringside at. One of those rare nights where every single thing goes right, Andy.
Yeah, but it takes a special person to be able to do that. And it's only through hard work, repetition, and Tyson's referred to that finishing combination. It's something that we practice every day, countless times. Jab, step back, step in 1-2 at a different pace. And it's the Kronk thing. And it was the Kronk style. Emmanuel Stewart loomed heavily over the camp. It was his nephew who trained Tyson. And Emmanuel was born on the 7th of the 7th. 7 letters in Emmanuel, 7 letters in Stewart. And Tyson stopped him on the 7th round. So it was meant to be.
Hey!
It was meant to be. All the belts, Tyson, and just the singing to come.
Yeah, there always had to be a bit of singing, didn't there, Steve, to top it all off.
Well, in addition to being a superb boxer, you're also a superb crooner, my friend.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
There's just a little bit of brown nose in there. Andy, one final one for you before I let you go, and thank you so much for reliving that fight with us. Okay, we live in extraordinary times at the moment, but in an ideal world, how long do you think Tyson would need in the gym for potentially a third fight with Wilder? Although I know he's doing plenty of sessions a day, but what would you and Sugar Hill like in an ideal world?
Tyson's extremely fit. He's training 4 times a day. I wouldn't take that long. 8 weeks, 12 to 8 weeks. And the longer we can get with him, the better. But he's already the best heavyweight, and he's only going to get better and better and better.
Andy, thank you very much for your time. He is the best heavyweight, and he's only going to get better and better. Andy Lee leaves us, and a couple of BT regulars join us now. Ringside commentator, Mr. John Rawling, and the #1 pundit and former world champion, Richie Woodall. I'm going to come to you first, Richie. How surprised were you once that first bell sounded and Tyson Fury ran at Deontay Wilder, got straight over his front foot and started pushing the bully back?
Well, it was great tactics from Tyson, because obviously he's literally sprinted to the centre of the ring. Any boxer who controls that centre of the ring controls the movement of his opponent, so he kept him on the outside straight away. And I think the person who was most surprised by that was probably Deontay Wilder, because Tyson had said before the fight this is how he was going to fight, on the front foot. He was going to push him back. But I think that Deontay Wilder thought that was a bluff, and he thought that he was actually going to box on the outside again like he did in the first fight and keep it long. And so I think he was so surprised, and at one point he was just bewildered. He just did not know what to do. It was one of those weeks, Steve, when we were there. It took us back to the Ricky Hatton days where they were enjoyable weeks because you were so confident in then when Ricky was going to win fights. Obviously, he come stuck against Mayweather and Pacquiao, but we had some great times with Ricky, as we did with Joe Calzaghe. And the whole week with Tyson, you were just so confident. We were just waiting for that Saturday night because we knew, a lot of us knew, that he was gonna pull it off.
Now, it was a big night, John, but you've been ringside for lots of heavyweight title fights and massive fights in Las Vegas, New York, and around the globe. Where does what we witnessed that night at the MGM sit in your... Move yourself away from being a BT commentator. Where does it sit in your personal file of enjoyment?
It is absolutely right up there, Steve. I think possibly it's the very top of the pile because it's easy to sort of rewrite history, and it's worth remembering that there were an awful lot of people and an awful lot of experts who thought that Deontay Wilder was going to win this fight. He was the betting favourite, but from word go, the way Tyson seized the initiative in that first round, you kind of know instinctively when it's going to be something special, when it's one of those great nights. I was there, we talk about Ricky, when he beat Costa Tszyu in 2005, when he came home in Manchester and became the world champion. And it was that sort of feeling. Tyson just dictated it. He made his tactics pay, and he produced, almost from his point of view, a flawless performance. It was right up there at the very top of all the great British performances I've seen, Steve. And I remember talking to Lennox Lewis the day before, Steve, and I said to him, can Sugar Hill actually change the way that Tyson can fight in the space of an 8-week training camp? And Lennox said, oh yes, he'll have him punching through the target on the front foot and absolutely dominating him physically.
And Tyson, if I could just bring you back in here briefly, you heard John mention there the fact that Lennox had said, yes, Sugar Hill, the Kronk way, they can change you. And during that training camp you had with Andy and Sugar Hill under the Kronk colours, could you feel that you were changing as a fighter?
Not really. I made up my mind what I was going to do before I even started training with Andy and Sugar Hill. The fact of the matter is, I couldn't have boxed any better than I did the first time. I threw thousands of feints. I boxed lovely, was on my toes, and I still got caught twice with 2 big punches and put down. So I thought to myself, if I'm going out, I'm going to go out on my shield, and I'm going to full steam attack him. I'm going to put everything into every punch, and I'm going to knock him out. And that's exactly what we did. And I employed Sugar Hill because I wanted to put a statement of intent there that I wasn't intending on knocking this guy out. But even before I employed Sugar Hill, I knew what I was going to do. You know what I mean? I knew the game plan because I knew from the final bell of round 12 of the first fight, I knew what I had to do with Deontay Wilder to beat him.
And Richie, it looks like we're going to have a third fight, assuming we can travel and assume we can find a venue. Will the third fight end any differently? Can Deontay Wilder salvage something from that bloody ruinous night?
I don't think you can ever write a puncher like Deontay Wilder off. I think if Tyson prepares in the same way and he's hungry and he wants the victory as much as he wanted the victory in this one, then I think that, he's going to beat him again. But Deontay Wilder, you can never write him off because he's such a big puncher. Yeah, we'll look forward to it. It'll sell. Let's go to Vegas again. That'll do.
John, let's all go to Vegas again. But if the fight that we all want, the Joshua fight, happens, that might not be in Vegas. How are you going to contain your excitement, John? You're smiling now. If it's announced that Fury's going to fight Joshua, how are you going to contain yourself, John Rawlin?
Well, I wish I had 10 quid for every time somebody had said to me what's going to happen in that fight. It's the one we all want, and fingers crossed nobody gets beaten between now and then, because it's a huge British fight. The interest in it will be absolutely massive. I can't wait, Steve. It's going to be terrific.
It will indeed be terrific. John Rawling, thank you very much. Richie Woodall, thank you very much. And don't go anywhere, because the man who predicted the outcome to the punch will be joining us after the break. Welcome back to What Went Down. We've seen what Tyson Fury did, that monumental, that dramatic night, that crazy night in Las Vegas when he ripped apart Deontay Wilder. But what now? We've heard different people mention what might happen. But Tyson, let's have a look at the crystal ball. Let's throw things forward. There's a lot of talk still about the Deontay Wilder third fight. Frank Warren was on earlier talking about it. Is that a fight that you need to happen sooner rather than later? Just a case of getting it out of the way before you can move on to the real business?
You know, I take every fight very, very serious. Deontay Wilder is a serious customer. And he will get a serious training camp. And I know that Deontay Wilder will want to win this more than anything because he's never lost before. It's his time to prove he can come back. He can become a two-time world heavyweight champion. So he'll be more dangerous in this fight than he ever has been before. So this is the only business that I'm interested in. The only business. And when it happens, and I'll be ready and waiting in the wings for the go call.
Tyson, how much better can Deontay Wilder perform? Can he change? Can he go back to basics? Can he learn extra things to give him just a chance against you? Do you think that can happen?
I think so, Steve. I think he only needs to land one punch in the right place and it's over, as we've seen him do 40 odd times before. You can never, ever write anybody off. I've learned that during my life and my career. I've been wrote off every fight I've ever had, and I always win. So yeah, you know, never write anybody off. And a man who's been lost his last fight and been dropped and put out and whatever, and everyone's lost confidence, is always a dangerous man.
And just before we finish with that night and finish with Wilder, I understand what you're saying. You don't want to look beyond, but it seems to me that everybody in the Tyson Fury business are looking beyond. They are already starting to talk in theory to AJ. Do you have to cut that off, Tyson? Just block that out?
Well, I think you said it there and then, Steve. Everybody in the Tyson Fury business. I'm the man in the ring, and you can have all the business done in the world. But if the fighter ain't willing to stand and fight and work hard and give everything, then all the business people behind the scenes may not as well even be there. So at the end of the day, the only person that counts on the night is me. And if my mind ain't on it, thinking about other fights and other things, then I'll lose for sure. That's 100% true, speaking from the heart.
Spoken also very sensibly. I wouldn't have expected anything different. I'm really pleased to hear you say that. Now, one man who is definitely in the Tyson Fury business and who predicted the outcome of this fight almost to the punch. Yes, you remember this, don't you?
I will put any money now that Tyson does what he says he's going to do. It could be over early on, but there's going to be a knockout, a Tyson Fury knockout.
I don't reckon Wilder.
Do you want to bet then?
I'll
bet you £50,000.
I don't like to bet.
I'll bet you 50 grand, 100 grand. I'm not bothered. I'm a man of my word. Tyson knows he's in shark-infested waters. He's got to be big, strong, game and intelligent, and he's got to rip that belt from Deontay Wilder in an alarming fashion. It'll be chilling, clinical to watch. There's only one winner, the Beast, the Gypsy King, Tyson Fury.
There's only one winner, the Beast, Tyson Fury. Spoken there by, of course, Tyson's father, Gypsy Johnny Fury, and he joins us now. John, I'm going to ask you again, like I asked you at that round table, why are you so convinced? Why were you so convinced that Tyson was going to walk through him?
From the first fight, I thought, you know what? I looked at the fight, watched it 100 times, went all over it, examined it back to front, and I knew that Deontay Wilder could not fight going back, and he didn't like pressure. And you know, when you took it to him, the fight to go out of him, and that's exactly what it did. And he got humiliated and destroyed by a man what was untouchable on the night. Simple as that.
And John, if they fight a third time, because that looks likely, you're a boxing man, John, can Deontay Wilder do anything different, or will it be exactly the same as fight number 2?
To be honest with you, Tyson's being very modest in what he's saying. I don't think he wants to frighten Deontay Wilder by not having a third fight. Tyson's being modest there. Let me tell you something. There won't be a fight next time because he'll just walk through, it'll be easier. Because I'll tell you why. He's mentally destroyed, and I don't think he can come back from a beating like that in just a short time. You know, beatings like that, they stay in you. You never get rid of them. You never get over that. And at the end of the day, I just think that Deontay Wilder next time, he'll just be turned purely for the paycheck because he knows the outcome. He knows Tyson's too good for him. Tyson's too strong, too big, and he's only getting better and better. And Deontay Wilder, he ain't getting no better. In my book, you've seen the best of him. That was the best he could ever be. He was 16.5 stone. He was as strong as he was going to be, and he looked like, well, he looked like a kid in there, didn't he, against a man. You know, Tyson was just too good in every department. And I don't think Deontay Wilder has got anything to beat Tyson with, to be fair with you. Yeah, he's a big puncher. Anything can happen in boxing. We know that. But Deontay Wilder's too mentally destroyed to even have come close to beating Tyson. That's my honest opinion.
And Tyson, throughout the week in Las Vegas and immediately after the fight, you seem to be talking to your father quite a lot. What was he telling you? What advice, if anything, was John giving to you?
He was telling me just to stay calm. I'd done all the hard work, and it was about history making. It wasn't about making money. It wasn't about winning world titles or putting another 0 on the record. It was about cementing legacies. And I cemented my legacy as the greatest fighter of my era. And that's all you can do.
And John, Tyson quite rightly wants to keep his head focused on what he's got to do with Wilder. But I'm going to throw to you a question about Anthony Joshua. Assuming that fight gets made and it takes place in May of next year, you're a scholar and a gentleman, John. How does that, ding ding, how does that fight start? It's the first round, the bell's just gone. John, take me through the first 30 seconds of commentary.
First 30 seconds of commentary, Napper boxed right off and stung with disastrous right hands and left hooks. Listen, he'll think he's fighting an eel in a cold water. He won't want to touch Tyson. Tyson will box his head off. And he'll hit him that hard, his heart will go. He'll be an easier night than Deontay Wilder. And I'll take all bets again. Fuss round, Tyson will come back jabbing, missing, make him slip and slide. Bang! Joshua will fall to pieces after fuss right hand because he'll know then, I can't beat this man. All them fighters know they can't beat Tyson because I'll tell you why. The man's not been born yet and I've watched them all. This crop of heavyweights, this era can't beat him. They can't. They haven't got it. He's not been born yet. Not just saying it because of my son. He's proved himself. And Tyson's a modest guy. I'm not modest. I'm telling it as I see it. You know, they're all terrified of Tyson. I'll tell you something. They'll be beat before they start because they know they can't beat this man. There he is in the middle there. The Gypsy King. He'll reign forever. He'll reign for the next 10 years. Because I'll tell you what it is now. There's a Superman got to be born what can even come close to him. And I ain't seen him yet. And I've watched them all, these new crops of heavyweights. I ain't seen him. And get the Joshua on. I'll tell you what I'll do. I will bet Eddie and everything, and I'll put him and his dad in the dole queue. I'll put him in the dole queue. Because I'll bet them everything they've got. Let's have a winner take all. Let's see if they do that. He's saying that Joshua can do that. Winner take all. Tyson will go for it. And he'll be in the dole queue. That'll be the end of him. The end of the ends, big mouth. Done.
John, you mentioned there in this era, so that's the era now. We know that's the era now, and Tyson's a dominant heavyweight at the moment, and there's just Anthony Joshua there. But I'm gonna throw something at the pair of you. I'm going to come to you first, John. There's a lot of talk about a heavyweight from a few years ago, from a previous era, coming back. There's a lot of talk about Mike Tyson coming back. First of all, John, I'm going to ask you, has there been any development, stop smiling, has there been any development about you having some kind of exhibition with him, John?
Listen, I'd like to have a go. You know, at the end of the day, I named my son after him. It'd be a good thing, but I know one thing. he'll be in no better shape than me. Because I tell you what it is, I've got the edge in shape because I've lived better, you know, I've lived cleaner, you know, and Tyson, yeah, he was a great, great champion. Probably one of the best that's ever been. And if anybody's going to come close to beating Tyson this era, that's him. Mike Tyson's got a better chance than Deontay Wilder and Anthony Joshua at 53-year-old or 54, whatever he is. But listen, I'd like to have a go, me, because I'm big and strong and I'm game. And that's all you need to be. He's past his best, you know, and me, the edge I've got, I've lived right. I don't drink, don't smoke, I don't do things I shouldn't do. And I train every day. Listen, we're not body beautifuls. I look as fat as a pig, but I can run 10 mile. No problem today. And I'm training all the time. And I'm fit and strong and game. And I've got a good heart. So what? If he knocks me out, he knocks me out. But I'll try and knock him out. Let's put it that way. I'll give me all. I'll do the very best I can. I won't be afraid to get in the ring. I'm not going to be beat before I started. I'm going to give it my best shot. I'm here. I'm 18 stone 7. I'm 55-year-old just turned, but I'm in great shape. Don't drink. Don't smoke, don't take nothing, I don't do nothing I shouldn't do, and I eat very, very well. Plus I've got him to train me. I've got the best son in the world, and if I start sparring with him and Big Shane and my Huey and Tommy, there's nobody, I've got a good chance of beating anybody with that kind of backing and that kind of team. I'll get him with 2 Mike Tysons.
I'm going to turn it on its head, Tyson. I'm going to ask you this. You're a boxing scholar. You know your boxing. Would you like to have gone against the Tyson from the late 80s? Would you like to have tested yourself one night in Las Vegas or one night in New York or one night in Manchester against that late 80s Tyson? Would you have liked that, Tyson?
I'm going to tell you something, Steve. There hasn't been a heavyweight from any era in the last 1,000 years that could have tackled me or beat me. Never mind Mike Tyson from the 80s, Muhammad Ali, Joe Louis, Lennox Lewis, George Foreman, Joe Frazier, Ken Norton, Rocky Marciano, Floyd Patterson, Gene Tunney, Jem Mace, John L. Sullivan. Going right back to the beginning, not one of them could have beat the Gypsy King. 1, I'm too big, 2, I'm too good, and 3, I've got too many styles for them. And 4, I'm an adapter, and 5, they couldn't ever beat me anyway. So there we go. I'm the greatest fighter that's ever lived. Well, never mind heavyweight, the greatest fighter that's ever lived. And how about that for a bit of modesty? The greatest fighter that's ever lived.
Well, you know, I was going to ask you how you'll be remembered, but I think you've just told us. Just quickly, Tyson, if I had to ask you to describe yourself in 10 or 20 seconds, how would you describe yourself if you were telling somebody from another planet, if you were trying to explain who you were, how would you explain yourself to somebody that had never heard of you before?
I'll tell you how I'd do it. I'd say I'm a big fat heavyweight with a bald head, with plenty of heart to fight, and you know, and that was it. I'm not interested in being remembered anyway. I've said that many times, Steve. So I'm enjoying my life now. I'm not looking past today. Live every day as it's my last. And I enjoy every moment. And it's been a nice couple of hours on here, looking back and reflecting. But again, I don't dwell in the past. I've no interest in what happened yesterday. I live for today. I look forward to the future. And that's it.
Tyson, thank you. John, thank you. And you're right. We're also enjoying every single second of your life so far.
You've got to live like Fury. Born early, born tiny, born fighting. Weighing in at just a pound. They called him Tyson. From the start, he was a Gypsy King who'd never stopped traveling. Always moving, always growing, always fighting. But he didn't have the crown he really wanted. The crown destined to be his. So he set his sights on the Ukrainian master. No one believed Tyson had the fury to take those belts, but glory in Germany. Long live the new king, the Gypsy King. Yeah, Fury was dangerous, but winning is dangerous too. Glory can blind you. And Tyson lost his way. And suddenly, he saw a vision of his beautiful family, and he was born again. Born big, Born just in time. Born to take on Deontay Wilder. He lost the pounds, cut the drugs and the booze and the loose talk. The Gypsy King was back. Then, the right hand, left hook. Surely Fury was gone. Finished. But Tyson Fury, born early, born tiny. Tyson Fury rose again. And now, the rematch. New Fury. Always a champion. Always the Gypsy King. He was born for this. Born for a life of fury.